Good afternoon, class. My name is Emmanuel Amufa, your average citizen. And today I want to have a discussion with you regarding our elections coming up this November. Noted to be one of the most important or critical elections in our history as a democracy. I have titled this discussion, Elections Reform is the Need of the Hour. My purpose today is to persuade you about the elections reform in order to make it convenient and effective in the greater public interest, and also to help stabilize our democracy as we know it. Elections reform is a change in the electoral process to help improve public desires, expectations in terms of transparency and fairness and accuracy for our democracy. Have you considered yourself an ambitious and deserving candidate, but you find yourself underfunded, neither backed up by wealthy donors or able to get media attention? What will you do other than demand for elections reforms? Don't you find it pretty exhausting standing in long lines, waiting for your turn, and realizing how the voting processing has broken down on many levels? No changes to the electoral system can be implemented without the consent of the majority of Americans, because the process is constitutionally rigorous. I always wanted to create reforms in the present election reforms because it contains so many shortcomings. First, I would like to talk to you about why the present system is lethal for the young deserving population. Secondly, lobbyists are the ones getting the benefits instead of us common people. And finally, government machinery should not be used for government-friendly parties. According to Freedom House, in order to conduct a free and fair elections, one of the indicators is a realistic opportunity for the opposition to increase its support or gain power through elections. Election is, first of all, a process of citizens' participation. This participation has been slowly eroded in so many ways. The electoral systems can be reformed by promoting private financing, ensuring the neutrality of media, carefully monitoring the polling system, expanding early elections. In order to regain faith in our electoral systems, the electoral reform is needed in the moment. To begin with, just because the cost of running an office is continuing to escalate, that is why young and deserving people like you and I, who are representative of youth and modernization, can't afford the huge cost of running for office. This system has been influenced by the economic interests of big donors rather than the welfare of the public. Also, this kind of system supports lobbyists who influence legislation and makes law for their own benefit rather than you and I. There is a need to change the way elections campaigns are funded to create real democracy. In 2019, the House of Representatives passed a people reform that included public campaign financing reforms, and it has been proved very fruitful. The present system has reduced the worthy candidates who are more concerned about public affairs rather than seeking wealthy donors. In this situation, reforms are the only options left for the Election Commission. You must be wondering how these wealthy donors has been influencing the media to support a party agenda. Let me tell you this: quality and quantity of media coverage to the friendly candidate has strongly impacted on the election results in favor of one party. Media can change people's opinion through brainwashing by promoting one party agenda over the other. This is proven by Papa Norris, Why Elections Fail. Instead of doing work for the public, the political parties are spending millions of dollars on advertisement. This money could be going into other important things. And you must know, it is in today's reality that candidates cannot win if they're unable to win enough interest from the media. Biased media can't give a neutral opinion, and in the long run, it can alter elections' outcomes. In addition to this, biased reporting, believing in heavily filtered news, and invoking violence against journalists are reasons why we should demand elections reforms. Many parties allege the elections has been rigged through biased media coverage, along with the lack of a proper monitoring system. Also takes the electoral system fairness into question. International election monitoring should be given unhindered access to polling stations. It may help reduce the risk of re-elections. In the present system, cybersecurity of election machinery is not commendable. That is why results are risked by cyber attacks. The reliability and security of these systems must be enhanced because malicious cyber actions may generate undesirable effects on electoral integrity. This is a source from Cure for Political Elections. In this day and age, most polling staffers aren't very well trained. They should be trained to follow the right policies, such as properly checking IDs, providing language assistance, and identifying voters' intimidation, etc. You can figure out how urgently we need our electoral reforms. The failure of the elections might produce stagnant governments. International observation missions should carefully observe government and resources in trying to sway electoral outcomes. Besides this, irregularities at polling stations and reducing time for voting is also a reason why I demand reforms. Polling staffs must be able to manage situations and chaos and resolve conflicts. Moreover, voter turnout for elections has been decreasing in many countries, and here's why. Reduced voting hours make voting systems less convenient for workers, more exhausting and impossible for working classes and those along who are working on daily wages. Due to the inflexible working routines, people find it no time to go and cast their votes. I also believe that an election day should be made as a national holiday, leaving mid-class workers or anybody who has conflict with schedule due to work or different situations to be able to go out and cast your votes. Now, you may argue that there are early voting, but this does not fix the issue. If we have set aside one day to be the day for elections, why can't we make it a national holiday to where members of the general public are able to go out and cast their ballots? Turnout may be reduced because low-income workers would not risk their jobs to go out to vote. In my conclusion, as you can easily see, the greatest threat to democracy is the rigged electoral system through international intervention by a cyber attacks, undermining the neutrality of the media, lack of proper monetization systems, and increasing influence of lobbyists. Faith in the electoral system can be restored by ensuring public financing, discouraging donations from wealthy big PACs and donors who work for their own interests, unbiased media reporting, and ensuring international election monitoring, expanding early elections, allowing online voting. Ask yourself, how can one expect favorable results when the electoral system is so inauspicious? Once again, my name is Emmanuel Amufa. Thank you for joining me and listening to one of the most crucial crises that we could face in our generation as we leap forward for the most important elections. Go out and get registered to vote if it's not too late in your state. Go ahead and do early voting if you can, or voting by mail, or most importantly, show up at the polling stations. Make your voices heard. Hold your representative accountable for your life. Take care. Stay blessed. Aren't doing the proper work and turn away a member or a citizen who's urgent to vote, they're usually cut that out. Just cut the